Right now, on to the point. Affordable Care Act subsidies are set to expire soon.
Consumers are the ones footing the bill of this uncertainty.
The fight on Capitol Hill and the impacts on communities. The battle over California's Proposition 50 enters a second day. Tonight, new questions about the witness everyone expected to hear from, but didn't. After a brutal attack in Sacramento's Lavender Heights, city leaders and the Sacramento LGBT Community Center are speaking out. Why the assault has sparked new fears about safety. And Americans packing up and moving away to other countries. The reasons behind the trend.
The cost of health care is our top story tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. In just a few days, Congress will leave town for the holidays without extending critical Affordable Care Act tax credits. Today, House Speaker Mike Johnson announced that he will not hold a vote to extend the affordable health care tax benefits. That means come January 1st, premiums for many of the 24 million Americans insured through the ACA are all but certain to double or in some cases quadruple, something Democrats tried to prevent, leading to the recent record-breaking government shutdown. Now, Mike Johnson today blaming Democrats for this.
Yes, there is a healthcare affordability problem in America. It's a very serious problem for almost every family. But it is an indisputable fact that the Democrats caused that problem, and Republicans are the ones having to clean it up.
Congressman Mike Thompson, who represents California's 4th District, responded to Johnson's announcement, saying in part, quote, American families are being squeezed by higher grocery prices, utility bills, and even soaring costs for holiday gifts. Now, Speaker Johnson has announced that he's delivering the policy equivalent of a sack of coal for Christmas. He goes on to say Republicans' leadership's refusal to work across the aisle to extend these credits means millions of families will pay double for their health care premiums next year. This isn't just bad policy. He says it's cruel. The American people deserve better. I want to bring in ABC 10's Becca Hodberger, who's joining us on how this will impact Californians and why rising healthcare costs are affecting more than just those on covered California. Becca, what did you find today?
Well, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, also referred to as tax credits, went into effect in 2021 as part of COVID-19 relief package, the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, it made coverage cheaper and expanded eligibility, but now the expiration of those tax credits is expected to have a significant impact on the cost of health care.
As a result of the subsidies, which have been in place since 2021, enrollment in ACA plans called Covered California here more than doubled nationwide, from about 12 million people before the subsidies to this year more than 24 million, nearly 2 million of whom are Californians. Now, if those subsidies expire after this year, as they're currently set to do, ACA enrollees could be paying next year, on average, more than double what they're paying this year.
Nationwide, we estimate that the increase in how much people pay on a monthly basis will be increasing by 114%, or $1,000 on an annual basis. So this is a lot for people.
Matthew McGough is a policy analyst at KFF for the program on the ACA. KFF is an independent source for health policy research, polling, and journalism. He says it's not as simple as just going back to pre-subsidy costs.
Insurers are increasing premiums by about 4 or 5 percentage points more than they otherwise would. And that's because insurers are expecting that a lot of people will decide to assume the risk of no longer having health insurance, become uninsured, and leave a relatively sicker, higher cost pool of people that they're going to have to cover.
Plus, he says it's not just ACA plans that are going up.
The employer-sponsored insurance market, as well as for small businesses, they are seeing some of the highest increases in how much they have to pay for health insurance that they've seen in a very long time. And this has really been driven by medical inflation, as well as a lot of policy uncertainty that's happening in Washington. Tariffs are having downstream effects, and a lot of insurers are building in the potential increase in how much they have to pay for different medical devices and pharmaceuticals in premiums.
Dana Fleischman knows this firsthand.
And this just really, really makes it difficult to do business in Sacramento.
He is co-owner and general manager of a gym in Sacramento, which offers health care to its full-time staff.
Typically, we see an increase yearly of 8 to 10% the past few years. This year, we got a letter in the mail, and it's going up 22%. It's an unsustainable increase if this is happening year over year.
So whether you get your health insurance through Covered California or the private market, there's a chance you'll be paying more next year.
Consumers are the ones footing the bill of this uncertainty. Insurers have to build in and pad their premiums if there is any policy uncertainty, because they want to make sure they're not putting themselves up for financial risk.
I reached out to Covered California for this story. The executive director was traveling and unable for an interview, but a spokesperson replied with a substantial and informative email saying, in part, "We've heard stories of real people who are weighing whether to get or keep their health insurance if premiums are too expensive. There's still time for Congress to act to extend the enhanced premium tax credits and give American families support, stability, and access to the health insurance coverage they deserve." We encourage everyone to visit coveredca.com to explore their options and see what kinds of financial assistance they may qualify for. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you. California is one of 16 states suing the Trump administration over electric vehicle charging programs. Attorney General Rob Bonta announced the lawsuit just today, saying the administration is unlawfully withholding more than $2 billion in funding for 2 EV charging programs. Today's lawsuit is the latest legal battle that several states are pursuing to receive funding for EV charging infrastructure they say was obligated to them under former President Biden.
Trump is putting the brakes on projects that would reduce planet-warming pollution and smog, expand access to clean vehicles, and create thousands of green jobs. And in doing so, he's running over the co-equal branch of Congress that holds the purse strings in this country and under the Constitution.
This is California's 50th lawsuit against the Trump administration in 47 weeks. We are also continuing to track the federal lawsuit challenging California's Proposition 50, the ballot measure to temporarily redraw the state's congressional lines. Today was day 2 of what's scheduled to be a 3-day hearing. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has the latest for us tonight.
California Republicans and the U.S. Department of Justice are suing California over Proposition 50, the counter to Texas's mid-decade redistricting to give Republicans 5 more seats by temporarily drawing its congressional maps to give Democrats a 5-seat advantage. The lawsuit alleges new maps unconstitutionally use race to advance political interests favoring Hispanic and Latino voters in gerrymandering.
I'm not sure whether or not that line of argument is relevant today in light of the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on the Texas redistricting.
Despite concerns over race in Texas's maps, that they were, on the contrary, suppressing minority votes, the Supreme Court upheld their redistricting, saying it's for political purposes.
Republicans are saying that what Paul Mitchell has done as the architect of these maps is that he has gone in there with an idea of increasing Latino representation. What Paul Mitchell and the Democrats are saying is that, no, you've got it backwards. What we did is that we drew lines to increase Democratic representation, and it just so happens, as a byproduct, you have more Latinos in a certain district.
Republicans have attempted multiple times to get Mitchell to testify, saying Mitchell allegedly told groups that he considered race as a primary factor in drawing the new maps. According to court records, Mitchell was subpoenaed earlier this month and gave a 7-hour deposition, but filings by the other side state Mitchell often refused to answer questions, invoking legislative privilege.
Evidence related to legislators, why they voted, how they voted, etc., is not admissible in court when it deals with official legislative proceedings.
Legislative analyst Chris McKaylee says that privilege in some cases applies to staffers, which Mitchell is not. Republicans requested further documents and deposition, and that if Mitchell doesn't provide more, which he didn't, the court should draw an adverse inference, a negative assumption about the defending parties, including Governor Gavin Newsom and Secretary of State Shirley Weber. From the get-go, Newsom and Weber have asked that the court doesn't apply any negative conclusions on Mitchell to them, as Mitchell is a non-party.
Because it's not the words of the governor or legislators who are actually involved.
How does that make sense when Paul drew the maps at the request of the governor?
A judge is going to have to determine whether or not to compel Paul's testimony.
Again, Paul Mitchell's testimony was ultimately not compelled when asked about Paul Mitchell at an unrelated press conference today. Newsom said that he will leave it to the lawyers. Mitchell declined to comment further on an ongoing lawsuit, something we will continue to follow. Still a lot more news to get to. After the break, a brutal attack shakes Sacramento's Lavender Heights neighborhood. City leaders and the LGBT Center are coming together to address safety concerns. And then a little bit later, more Americans are looking to leave the U.S., why the interest in moving abroad is surging, and the countries that people are flocking to.
We finally had a little bit of sun today, too, as the pattern is beginning to change. And certainly by the time we get to this weekend and for Christmas week, we're looking at rain chances up at the forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight. New video released today by Providence Police shows a zoomed-in look at the person of interest in the Brown University shooting. Investigators also released a video timeline of the movements of the person of interest. A reward of up to $50,000 is being offered for information that can lead to an arrest and conviction. The Trump administration is adding 20 more countries to its travel ban and imposing restrictions to others. The ban includes Mali and South Sudan, as well as Syria, just to name a few. Today's move is part of an ongoing effort to tighten U.S. entry standards for travel and immigration. The decision follows the arrest of an Afghan national suspect in the shooting of 2 National Guard troops over Thanksgiving weekend. And a doctor who pleaded guilty in a scheme to supply ketamine to actor Matthew Perry was sentenced today to 8 months of home confinement. A federal judge in Los Angeles sentenced Dr. Mark Chavez of San Diego to 3 years of supervised release. Perry died from an overdose in 2023. Chavez acquired ketamine and gave it to Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who sold it to Perry. Plasencia was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison earlier this month.
Finally, after weeks of foggy conditions today, it was time to dig out the sunglasses as the sun finally came out to warm things up just a little bit. Some people around town enjoying the sunshine, and hopefully the sun brightened up your day a little bit if you were out and about. I know myself personally, Brenda and I stepped out of the building, had the sunshine hit my face. I felt rejuvenated, excited, and I took it all in because the weather's going to be changing, right?
Yeah, well, the weather is changing, and we can thank the changing weather for that sunshine today. Other folks, especially in the North State, didn't have nearly as much sun. They had some rain across far northern California, and there still is rain across far northern California, up along Cape Mendocino, up towards Crescent City, near Shasta, the Northeast Plateau. We've even had some showers moving through the central to upper Sacramento Valley, places like Chico, up towards Quincy, in Plumas County. Here's what it looks like right now, and it's just some clouds across our area, still some clearer skies down near Stockton, and some lighter showers up near Truckee and South Lake Tahoe. Not the end of the rain by any stretch of the imagination. Made it to 51 today with that little bit of sun, so out of the 40s for the first time in a little while. Well, right now we're back in the 40s, though, because obviously the sun has set. 47 in Sacramento, 45 in Stockton, 45 in Modesto, 45 up in Truckee, and 48 in South Lake Tahoe. Wednesday morning, we're going to start off in those 40s and low 50s with some shower chances. Better chances up in the elevations, but still could see some stray showers in the valley overnight. Wednesday afternoon, we're likely to see some sunshine again tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds in the valley, but in the high country, we're going to see some more rain, especially through the first half of the day. So here's a look at Futurecast through the overnight. We are going to have some light shower chances in the valley. Better chances, though, in, again, the elevations out towards the coastal range, out along the coast, and then up here near Tahoe. Once we get into the lunchtime hours, afternoon, then we're looking at partly sunny skies and drier conditions. Thursday going to be dry. Friday going to be mainly dry. But once we get later on the day on Friday, then we're going to start to see some rain. And so Friday is really the start of what could be many days of rain. Saturday may be a little bit of a lull, but then you get another storm coming in on Sunday. Here's the thing, though. These are all atmospheric river-driven storms. These are Pineapple Express storms specifically, which means they're coming out of Hawaii. So it's a warm storm, and these are going to have very high snow levels with it. You can see it there. High pressure moves up just a little bit for Thursday and Friday. That's going to cut off that atmospheric river to northern California, directed into Oregon instead. But as we head into the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Christmas week, we're looking at a lot more rain. Model comparison here, several inches between now and Christmas Day. A lot of rain icons there, Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. After the break, a major settlement to tell you about for drivers. Free fixes are coming for thousands of Kia and Hyundai vehicles. And job growth is slowing and the unemployment rate is climbing. What the new report means for your paycheck as well as the economy. Tonight, after a brutal attack in Sacramento's Lavender Heights neighborhood, city leaders and the LGBT LGBT Center are coming together to talk with the community about safety. The conversation centers on the assault of the man that you see right here, Alvin Prasad, after he celebrated Halloween. His daughter says that he remains in a coma, still fighting for his life. Sacramento City Council member Phil Pluckybaum says there have been concerns among the LGBTQ plus community, and the attack has sparked a forum on safety in the neighborhood. It's actually happening right now at the center.
It feels like there has been increasing incidents from folks that we talk to in community. More community members are coming forward and talking about how things are happening, how they feel unsafe. So we are responding to everything that's been going on since the attack on Alvin.
After Alvin's attack, officers arrested 24-year-old Sean Payton Jr., who is being held in jail without bail. He was charged with assault, a hate crime allegation, and resisting arrest. And jumping into your price points tonight, a new report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out just today, and it shows a rise in the unemployment rate. The United States gained 64,000 jobs in November, but lost 150,000 jobs in October as federal workers left after cutbacks by the Trump administration. The unemployment rate rose to 4.6% last month. That is the highest since 2021. The report also shows Americans' earnings are growing at the slowest rate in more than 4 years. Dozens of states, including California, reached a settlement with automakers Kia and Hyundai over a deal to fix anti-theft technology. If you have one of those cars, take a listen at this. States argue the vehicles were not equipped with proper anti-theft technology, leaving them vulnerable to thefts. Under the settlement, the companies will offer a free repair to all eligible vehicles. Hyundai and Kia must also outfit all future vehicles sold in the U.S. with a key piece of technology, and it's called an engine immobilizer. And they also must pay up to $4.5 million of restitution to people whose vehicles were damaged by thieves. Well, some Americans are packing up and leaving, and they're deciding to live abroad, driven by factors like the cost of living and political divisions. Reporter Eric Flack looks into this trend for us tonight.
Jen Barnett and her husband left Alabama to live in Mexico 3 years ago. They say they were fed up with the U.S. political climate. And now their company Expatsy helps thousands of other Americans move abroad too.
120 people started their visa process just in September, just for Portugal, just of our clients. So people are moving at much higher rates than we've seen in the past.
Expatsy organizes group tours like these for Americans exploring potential new homes abroad. And listen to this. She says business was up huge in the first part of this year. Why?
The cost benefit analysis of staying in the U.S. has just changed dramatically. And there are different reasons for different people.
It's a trend WUSA 9 first reported on back in 2022 after Roe versus Wade was overturned. We traveled to this Moving Abroad seminar in Atlanta, attended by people from all over the country, including Prince George's and Calvert County, Maryland.
Where are you from?
Texas.
Texas.
You?
Okay. Maryland.
Jennifer Stevens is executive director for the website International Living. And she says right now, people are being driven from the States by things like the cost of living, especially healthcare and housing, and those increasing cultural divisions.
It's not that they're necessarily ready to get on an airplane tomorrow and leave, but they are sort of taking the steps now to allow them to have some options in case things go a little nutty in the States.
Stevens says foreign countries are now making it easier than ever to relocate, especially since the pandemic changed how we work. Portugal and Ireland are among the most popular destinations. International Living says in Panama you can live comfortably for around $1,800 a month. And the group just named Greece its top-ranked country to retire to abroad.
I would say that more people are asking the really practical questions they need to ask in order to take the steps to really do it.
I don't think moving abroad is ever apolitical. It is always you choosing to vote with your feet and vote with your dollars, or to find a better life in another place.
The State Department told us U.S. citizens are not required to register their travel to a foreign country, so they can't provide numbers of U.S. citizens living in or traveling outside of the United States. But Jen Barnett predicts what was once a trickle of people leaving the U.S. to live abroad could soon be a flood.
A major milestone today as the Del Rio Trail Bridge reopens, reconnecting South Sacramento to downtown. Well, it is happy trails once again for the city of Sacramento. Today, the city celebrated the completion of the Del Rio Trail Bridge project. Work began in August to remove and replace the trail bridge, which was closed since the trail opened to the public in May of 2024. People can now walk, bike, or even roll from Sacramento, South Sacramento, to downtown without any interruption. A lot of people out there today. And tomorrow night, President Trump plans to address the nation. That is scheduled for 6 p.m., something that we will continue to follow. No word yet on the topic.